The United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon is in Africa and says Burundian President Pierre Nkurunziza has agreed to begin talks with opposition leaders to bring an end to a nearly a year-long political crisis. Mr. Ban arrived in Bujumbura late Monday and Tuesday. He announced the breakthrough following meetings with politicians and civil society groups. The UN chief says that all sides are promising to engage in inclusive dialogue. His visit comes 1 month after a UN Security Council delegation visited the country to press for negotiations among Nkurunziza and his opponents. Burundi has been mired in a sometimes violent political crisis since April of last year, when President Nkurunziza won what is widely viewed as an unconstitutional third term. Well, for more on the Secretary General's effort to broker a peace deal, reporter Moses Havyarimana joins us on the phone from Bujumbura with some late-breaking developments. Good evening, Moses.
Good evening.
Yes, now we hear that there is an agreement that the Burundian president will actually release some political detainees. Tell us about that.
Yes, actually, this came early today in the morning in Bujumbura after the meeting of the President Pierre Nkurunziza with the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon when he announced that he is ready to release 2,000 detainees from the prison. Remember that this is not the first time the president has done this. Earlier last year, he also released more than 100 also prisoners from former protesters who were protesting against him last year, against his third term. So we see that many residents here are having a hope that actually their relatives could be released and they could be given a glimmer of hope in the calming down the tension which has been here in Bujumbura for this last year.
Now, Moses, we know that recently there was a UN Security Council visit there, but it didn't seem to have achieved a lot. What has changed this time? Does it look like things are looking better than last time?
Yes, it proved to be a little bit different because what we saw last night is the UN Secretary General met some opposition political leaders, and one of them was the political party leader of IPRONA, which was recognized by the government, which was critical of the government, and the government wasn't able to recognize it. So the government made a move and they called that political faction to come and meet Ban Ki-moon in order to resolve the political crisis which has been rocking the country since last year. So it's a little bit a change of we can look at the change on how the representatives of the political parties have been in. However, there are still those who are outside the country who would like to engage in the inclusive dialogue in order to put an end to the crisis, which is still a big question for the government, if it will engage them with it in the dialogue.
Yes, and what has been the reaction in Bujumbura?
Well, Bujumbura, they have been delighted, first of all, by the announcement of the release of the 2,000 detainees, and they have welcomed the decision by the president. And remember that the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said that he urged the Burundian government to engage in inclusive dialogue. So this seems like the cancellation also. Also, the Burundian government had to cancel the arrest warrant of some individuals earlier last week, which proves to be a move, a big step forward in bringing back the stakeholders for an inclusive dialogue in order to resolve the current crisis which is our situation.
How do you describe the situation? Is it calm now since the last few days?
Well, it has been relatively calm, but we have seen grenade attacks here and there. Even yesterday, during the Ban Ki-moon visit, there have been grenade attacks and shootings, and according to the police spokesman, he said 2 people have been killed in these grenade attacks, and at least 17 people have been wounded. So we have seen these grenade attacks going on and on in the capital, while most of the innocent civilians have lost their lives during these attacks. And the Burundi government has taken measures also of stopping the motorbikes entering into the capital, saying that these could actually probably decline the new wave of grenade attacks on the motorbike.
Moses, thank you very much. Moses Havyarimana reporting from Bujumbura in Burundi.